Hello there. Welcome back. I'm Bales Winky Face, and today we're doing another tome tips. Today we will be reviewing Tome 11 Devotion, page 2. If you enjoy this content, please be sure to like the video, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. And if you're interested in catching a live stream, you can find me at twitch.tv/BalesWinkyFace. Let's get into it. Okay, so from the main menu, we're going to want to go to the archives. And at the time of this recording, Tome 11 is the current tome that is available. In the future, you will want to navigate to the Compendium tab in order to find Tome 11. Now, on page 2, there are several challenges. You will start over on the left-hand side with the prologue, and your goal is to reach one of the 2 epilogue nodules in order to complete the page and be able to move on to the 3rd page when it is available. So let's get into it. Out of sight, survivor challenge. Hide within 10 meters of the killer without being caught for a total of 60 seconds. My biggest advice when attempting this challenge is to run the perk Iron Will, which is a teachable from Jake Park. This hides your grunts and moans of pain whenever you're in the injured state, which allows you to be able to hide close to the killer without them being aware that you are there. You can also use some of the quieter survivor characters in general, that even when they are not injured, you're less likely to be found, and you may want to use cosmetics that are kind of darker colored so that you're less visible to the killer. And it's cumulative, so it does not need to be completed within one challenge. Leap of Faith, Survivor Challenge. Vault a pallet or window while in chase 10 times. I recommend bringing the perk Windows of Opportunity from Kate. It's a teachable. It lights up the auras of vaults and pallets whenever you use that perk. And you do need to vault the pallet, a dropped pallet or a window while in chase. You'll know you're in chase with the killer whenever their chase music begins, and you need to vault it. Now, if it's a window, if you vault the same window 3 times while in chase, it will then become blocked by the entity for a time being. So you aren't able to vault back and forth multiple times on the same window right in front of the killer. This does not happen with a pallet. You can vault a pallet as many times as you want while in chase until the killer breaks it or you get downed. Dead Clever, Survivor Master Challenge. Escape 1 chase while using only the perk Dead Hard and no other perks. Complete this challenge in a single trial. Dead Hard is a teachable from David King. It is an exhaustion perk that whenever you are in the injured state, you are able to press a button, usually E on keyboard or a different button on controller. And you then get iframes or immunity frames for a couple seconds and a small distance boost. While running this perk, you need to escape 1 chase. You cannot use any other perks. You can bring items or offerings though. And as long as the killer loses sight of you while they're in a chase, you will usually get the points of escaping a chase, even if they don't get super far away from you. Glyph Escape, Survivor Glyph Challenge. Commune with the blue glyph and then escape the trial 1 time. Selecting this challenge generates a blue glyph that afflicts you with either the blindness or oblivious status effect. This glyph challenge can only be completed while playing as a survivor, and it will generate a blue glyph on the map. The blue glyph, you will find it and you will commune for it with a couple seconds, and then it will either make you blind or oblivious. If you are blind, you are not able to see auras of pallets, generators, other survivors. If you have any type of aura reading perk, you will not be able to see them while you are blind. And oblivious means you will not hear the terror radius of the killer. Again, it's not for the entire time, but you do need to escape the trial after communing with the glyph in order to complete this challenge. The Engineers Guild. Survivor Challenge. Repair a total of 4 generators while cooperating with other survivors. Good perks to run while attempting this challenge is Prove Thyself, which is the teachable from Dwight, which increases repair speed whenever cooperating with other survivors, and the perk Bond, which is also a teachable from Dwight that shows you the auras of other survivors within that are nearby. This helps you find survivors that are already working on gens, and you're able to complete this challenge a little bit quicker. Back Off Survivor Master Challenge. Stun the killer 2 times. Complete this challenge in a single trial. There are a couple different ways to stun the killer. The most common one is stunning them with a pallet drop. You can also stun them by wiggling out of their grasp while they are carrying you to a hook, or if you are running the perk Decisive Strike, which is a teachable from Laurie Strode, that if you are downed and picked up by the killer within 60 seconds of being unhooked, you are able to hit a skill check and then you escape the killer's grasp. Other perks that give you the ability to stun the killer is Head On, which is a teachable, an exhaustion teachable from Jane Romero. And this, whenever you are in a locker for a few seconds, it will then proc Head On, and if the killer comes near enough to your locker, you're able to fast exit the locker quickly, stunning the killer for a few seconds. Another perk that gives you the ability to stun the killer is the perk Blast Mine from Jill. After working on a generator for a certain amount of time, you are then able to trap the generator with a blast mine. If the killer attempts to damage that generator while the mine is active, they will get stunned and blinded. Stun or blind the killer 6 times. A Stunning Display Survivor Challenge. So this one is not a master challenge, and it can be done cumulatively. You can use a flashlight or a flashbang to stun the killer, or even firecrackers. And stuns, we just talked about the different ways that you can stun them. Try not to abuse the killer too much unless they're farming, but if you're lucky, you're able to get multiple stuns and blinds within one challenge. Cascading Failure Killer Master Challenge. Damage 4 different generators while using the perk Oppression. Complete this challenge in a single trial. Oppression is a teachable from the twins, and while using this perk, and it's not on cooldown, whenever you damage a generator, it then procs a difficult skill check on 3 additional generators, which if the survivor misses it, then they lose 10% progress on the generator. Oppression does have a pretty big cooldown, but you can damage generators even whenever the perk is on cooldown. It does need to be 4 different generators that you yourself damage. There are 7 generators total on each map, but the generator has to have some active repair progress in order for you to damage it. And you'll know that by the prompt popping up when you get close to the generator, or if you've kicked it before, which you won't want to have, that doesn't really apply too much to this one, but there will no longer be sparks coming off of the generator. Execution Killer Challenge. Kill 12 survivors by any means. And since it says by any means, that could be by a Mori, by bleeding out on the ground, by reverse bear trap from the pig, by cage from Pyramid Head. There's a couple different ways that you can kill survivors, and any of them count for this one. Generosity Survivor Challenge. Heal a total of 6 health states of other survivors. Since this says other survivors, it does not include healing yourself. So I would recommend bringing the perk Empathy, which is a teachable from Claudette. It shows you the auras of injured survivors around the map. And you can also try and be a survivor that is unhooking other survivors. So you know that there's an injured survivor right in front of you and you can heal them quickly. Suffer or Slaughter Challenge. This is a flex challenge, so it can be completed by either being a killer or survivor. Earn a total of 3 of the following of silver quality or better as survivor or killer: Unbroken Emblems or Devout Emblems. Now you earn unbroken emblems by playing Survivor, and you get better or higher quality of this emblem the fewer times that you get injured, the fewer times that you are hooked, if you survive or not. And you get the Devout emblem is earned by killers, and it's pretty much the opposite of that. The more killers that you injure, the more survivors that you injure, the more survivors that you hook, you will get a higher status emblem on Devout. Getting a higher quality emblem is easier whenever grades have been reset on the 13th of each month. So while you are in the Ash and Bronze grades, it's easiest to get a higher quality emblem. Glyph Pursuer Glyph Challenge. Now this glyph challenge, unlike the blue glyph challenge, can be completed by playing either as killer or survivor. Commune with 6 green glyphs. Selecting this challenge generates multiple green glyphs where totems appear and can be interacted with by anyone with this challenge. They will be briefly revealed in the in-game collapse. So you can find green glyphs during the challenge, whether you're playing as survivor or as killer, and they will spawn where totems can spawn, but not where a totem actually is in that map. So if you're familiar with totem spawn locations in maps, that will help you with this challenge. And you can get multiple green glyphs within one challenge. Once the in-game collapse has begun by either the hatch being closed or one of the exit gates opening, the aura of the green glyphs will show up for a few seconds, and it will show you where they are, and so you can get a couple more during the in-game, hopefully. Bloody Rewards. Earn 75,000 blood points. This is another challenge that can be completed by either playing as killer or survivor. You can use the perk on the survivor side, We're Gonna Live Forever, which gives you additional stacks and additional blood points for every time you take a protection hit or unhook a survivor safely for up to 4 stacks. And on the killer side, there's the perk Barbecue and Chili, which is a teachable from the Cannibal, that anytime that you hook a new survivor, a different survivor, you get a stack of Barbecue and Chili, and that gives you bonus blood points. You can also use offerings that give you extra blood points, such as Escape Cake on the survivor side, or Survivor Pudding on the killer side, or even Bloody Party Streamers, which gives yourself and all other members in the trial additional blood points for that trial. Crushing Dominance, Killer Master Challenge. Knock down 6 survivors. Complete this challenge in a single trial. Now you're going to be knocking down survivors, so it does not include grabs or interruptions in grabs. So you'll need to either use your power or your weapon to knock down the survivor. And this is particularly true for the trapper. If you trap a survivor in one of your bear traps, you want to knock the survivor down first instead of grabbing them straight out of the bear trap in order to get progress towards this challenge. And you can knock the same survivor down multiple times. You just need to knock survivors down 6 times within one trial to complete this challenge. Gruesome Killer Challenge. Hook 12 survivors. Since it says hook 12 survivors, this does not count cages from Pyramid Head. So when you're attempting this challenge, I recommend not necessarily using that killer. And you want to get multiple hooks on survivors, so probably you don't want to camp a hook too closely where you're not able to get more than one hook on a survivor in a challenge. But it is cumulative, so you don't need to complete this all in one trial, even though you could technically complete it in one. Unleash the Rage, Killer Challenge. Break 20 walls, pallets, or generators. Now, breaking walls and pallets and generators are pretty much a standard part of playing killer. You want to do that in order to make loops less safe or regress progress on a generator. One thing you can do is bring the perk Zanshin Tactics, which is a teachable from the Oni, which will light up the aura of vaults, pallets, and breakable walls within a match. And walls are breakable walls that are only able to be broken by a killer, and if you're using that perk, it will light that up for you. Blood Debt Survivor Challenge. Unhook a survivor who unhooked you earlier in the trial 4 times. Must unhook them safely. Now, if the survivor who ends up unhooking you has already been hooked twice or reached the struggle phase on their first hook, you will not be able to unhook them later in the trial. So what I recommend is trying to kind of take the first chase, or being one of the first survivors hooked, to give you the highest chance possible of being able to unhook someone who unhooked you earlier in the match. If you are playing with a group of friends and you're on comms, you can communicate that you're working on this challenge so that others know to let you get the unhooks when it is possible. And you must unhook them safely so the killer cannot down them again quickly after you've unhooked them. And the best way to guarantee a safe unhook is by running the perk Borrowed Time, which is a teachable from Bill, and it gives the unhooked survivor the Endurance status effect for 12 seconds at tier 3. Machinist. Survivor Master Challenge. Finish repairing 2 generators. Complete this challenge in a single trial. Now you do not need to completely repair 2 generators for this, but you do need to be actively repairing the generator whenever it is completed. And it must be on 2 within the same trial. This is not the hardest one to do, and you can do it pretty easily while solo queuing. Just hopefully you're not being chased by the killer the entire time. And if you have trouble finding generators on maps, I recommend running the perk Deja Vu, which is a common one, which shows you the aura of 3 generators at the start of the trial and after each generator is completed. Or the perk Visionary, which is a teachable from Felix, which shows you the auras of generators while in between generators being completed. Hunter's Ambition, Killer Challenge. Start a chase with 12 different survivors. It does need to be different survivors, so you cannot complete this within 1 trial. It will take a minimum of 3 trials to complete, since there are only 4 survivors per challenge. And if you're having a hard time finding one of the survivors, just try to remember them. It's easiest to keep an idea of which survivors still need to be chased if you're paying attention to the HUD and seeing if there are multiples of the same survivor, if they have different cosmetics, or ways for you to know that you've started chases with different ones. And you can start chases with multiple survivors at the same time if they are grouped up. Down to his level, Killer Master Challenge. While controlling Victor, pounce on 2 injured survivors and down them as the twins. Complete this challenge as a single trial. Now, when you're controlling Victor when playing the twins, you are lower to the ground and you are much faster than you are whenever you are playing as Charlotte. Victor's pounce must be charged and then released, and the pounce must be on an injured survivor, which is kind of good because as Victor you cannot see scratch marks, but you can see pools of blood. And you must pounce to down survivors twice within 1 trial. If you're having trouble with controlling Victor's pounce, just be patient. A lot of times you can kind of hold the charge, especially if a survivor is going back and forth, and wait until they're in your line of sight. Victor can pounce over pallets and over vaults, so you can get some cheeky hits that way as well. The final cut, Killer Master Challenge. Hit 4 survivors with a lunge attack while using the perk Coup de Grace. Complete this challenge in a single trial. Coup de Grace is a teachable from the twins, and this perk gains stacks each time a generator is completed. With a Coup de Grace stack, it extends your lunge attack and makes it a longer lunge, essentially. Now, the one kind of maybe not super clear thing about this trial is that you do not need to use the Coup de Grace stack in order to have progress on the 4 lunge attacks. You can lunge attack by holding either your M1 button on mouse or the right trigger on controller. If you just tap that button, it will be a short basic attach. You do want a lunge attack in order to get progress on this challenge. Hit 4 survivors with your weapon while that survivor is exposed. Exposed target, Killer Challenge. Now, when I attempted this challenge, there was a little bit of a bug with this one, because if you're playing as the killer Michael Myers or the Shape, whenever you are in tier 3, all survivors become exposed. However, it was not counting that type of expose whenever I was attempting this challenge. It did count the expose whenever I was playing as the ghost face, whenever you stalk a survivor and you put them into the exposed status effect, you're able to instant down them. But there are perks that give the exposed status effect as well, such as Hex No One Escapes Death, Make Your Choice, Starstruck. Just read descriptions. Some of those have specific ways of how they expose survivors, but it does give you that opportunity. One Giant Leap. Killer Master Challenge. While controlling Victor, pounce on a survivor from at least 10 meters as the twins. Do this 2 times. Complete this challenge in a single trial. I do think this challenge is named kind of funny because it says 1 giant leap, but you have to actually get 2 successful distance pounces within 1 trial, but that's neither here nor there. Now with Victor, you do have to charge up his pounce before you can release it, and the longer you do that, the further you will go. And it might be a little bit difficult to tell how far 10 meters is, but the easiest way to get a distance pounce attack is if they're kind of in a corridor or in a way where they can't dodge out of your pounce very easily, or if they're locked into some type of animation. There is an add-on for the twins where whenever Victor's pounce is fully charged, he becomes silent. I actually ended up using this one to complete the challenge, and this kept it where the survivors could not hear Victor coming from his little kind of growling noises, because I kept the pounce fully charged. And he can, like I said before, he can also pounce over vaults and pallets and certain things, so you can get some cheeky hits that way as well. And that brings us to another epilogue. And that pretty much finishes up this page. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the content and found out ways to make it a little bit easier to complete these challenges. Thank you so much, and if you enjoyed it, please be sure to give a like, leave a comment, even subscribe. And if you're interested in catching a live stream with me, please feel free to find me over at twitch.tv/BalesWinkyFace, and I hope to see you in the fog someday. Bye!